Critically acclaimed throughout its run, Mad Men was lauded for its elegant visuals, sharp writing, and complex character studies. But beneath the smoky glamour and Madison Avenue bravado lies a recurring, painful truth so powerful it would be hard to replicate in a Mad Men reboot. Parenting, especially motherhood, is never simple. Whether it's Betty Draper's brittle dissatisfaction, Joan Holloway's Mad Men transformation into single motherhood, or the rigid Catholic matriarchy of Peggy's own upbringing, the show explores how society defines mothers, how it punishes them, and what it demands they sacrifice. Even Don Draper's complicated relationship with parenthood, shaped by abuse, adds another lens to the show's generational and emotional inheritance. In this context, Peggy's story of ambition, shame, silence, and an impossible decision becomes one of the most haunting threads in the series. Her journey through not knowing about her pregnancy in Mad Men, then dealing with the social and emotional fallout of giving up a child, unfolds slowly. In Fragments and Confessions, Peggy reveals bit by bit how she feels about her choices to the few people who knew about her baby. 6. Catherine Olsen. Peggy's mother. Catherine Olsen holds Peggy by the chin in Mad Men. Throughout Mad Men, Peggy's mother, Catherine Olsen, gives vital context for Peggy's starting point in terms of her self-esteem. After Peggy gives birth, we see more of her family background in Season 2 when she is visiting her mother along with her sister, Anita, and Anita's children. Catherine is clearly overbearing and is deeply hurt by what she perceives as her daughter's indiscretion in having a child out of wedlock. Although she does not directly mention the baby, it is implied that Catherine and Anita took care of the boy initially and arranged the adoption process, with Peggy deemed unfit. In Season 2, Catherine tries to get Peggy to go to church more, giving us more of an insight into their mother-daughter relationship, and making it understandable why Peggy is reluctant to have quality family time. The only time she seems to have something positive to say about Peggy is when she is bragging to Father Gill about her copywriting profession in Season 2, Episode 4, 3 Sundays. Later, in one of Mad Men's saddest episodes, Season 5, Episode 7, at the Codfish Ball, Catherine makes her feelings very clear about Peggy having romantic relationships outside of marriage. She candidly tells Peggy and Abe they are living in sin, assumes Abe is using Peggy for practice before settling down, and advises Peggy to get a cat rather than live with a partner before marriage. 5. Anita Olsen Respeler. Peggy's sister. Peggy and Anita Olsen talk cheerfully at the table in Mad Men. Anita is subject to the same parenting as Peggy, but feels burdened in a different way because of the very disparate paths they chose in life. Anita takes the traditional route and has children, but she is struggling because her husband is out of work with an injury. In Season 2, Episode 4, 3 Sundays, she pours out her resentment to Father Gill in confession, "I'm so angry at my little sister. She had a child out of wedlock." Her anger runs deep about the fact that she has done everything right, while Peggy is thriving despite her past. Alongside Catherine, Anita visited Peggy in the hospital when she gave birth. She reveals to Peggy that she had to deal with the emotional fallout of the event and the impact it had on their mother. Despite Anita's bitter feelings, after counsel from Father Gill, her attitude toward Peggy improves, and she defends them from their mother. Although she should not have revealed information about Peggy during her own confession, Anita could have thought it was essential context to her own pain. Ultimately, the onus is on Father Gill to preserve the seal of confession. 4. Don Draper. Peggy's boss. Don Draper knows about Peggy's baby because he visited her in the hospital. He says that at first, he called on her at home, and her roommate directed him to her mother, who claimed Peggy was in the hospital with tuberculosis. In a flashback in Season 2, Peggy wakes up to see Don at her bedside. He does not press her to say specifically what has happened, probably because Peggy is still in shock herself from the unexpected birth. However, Don gives Peggy some advice typical of his character, to get out of there and move forward, and that, "it will shock you how much it never happened." This implies that sheer momentum can move someone out of a mental low, and he is not the only person who gives this advice. That is a sign of the time Mad Men is set. In Season 2, Episode 9, 6-Month Leave, Carla advises Betty to solve her anguish by splashing her face with cold water and going outside. Don and Peggy only talk about the baby once more after the hospital conversation in Season 4, Episode 7, The Suitcase, an episode centered on their friendship. When they open up about their private lives, the topic gets a rare mention. Peggy reveals that her mother assumed Don was responsible for what happened, merely because he visited her at the hospital. Don asks if she knows who it is, and if she ever thinks about it. It is a short exchange, but it says a lot about their relationship that she was willing to touch the sensitive topic again. 3. Father John Gill. Peggy's priest. Throughout Season 2 of Mad Men, Father John Gill is introduced as the cool new priest in the Olsen's church. He takes an interest in befriending Peggy, which her mother encourages, no doubt because she thinks he will steer her back down the strict Catholic path. Gil appeals to Peggy's intelligence and flatters her about her talents as a soft approach to try to get her to open up about her pregnancy. A key scene that shows a crossed boundary is in Season 2, Episode 4, 3 Sundays, when he uses information gleaned from her older sister's confession. Peggy praises Gil's Easter sermon, calling it very colloquial, and Father Gil hands her an egg for the little one. This breaks the seal of confession, making Peggy aware that he knows about the baby. This must have come as a blow to Peggy, making her feel that her secrets had been shared without her permission, which was her business to share in confession if she wanted to. Gil may have been making her aware so that she did not have to bring up a daunting topic herself, but this Mad Men betrayal was still a clear ethical breach. The issue of boundaries around Peggy's past comes to a head in Season 2, Episode 13, Meditations in an Emergency. Gil seems to be pressuring Peggy to confess and talk to him about the pregnancy, insisting that she feels guilt that she needs to air out and that she needs to be saved. She tells Gil, "I can't believe that's the way God is." In saying this, Peggy begins to shed the strict Catholic influence that seems to demand her shame. 2. Pete Campbell. The father of Peggy's baby. Pete Campbell looking smug in Mad Men custom image by Simone Ashmore. Meditations in an Emergency also sees Peggy opening up to Pete, which adds even more poignancy to her conversation with Father Gil in the same episode. Following the key theme of confession, Pete confesses his feelings for Peggy. Peggy decides that this is the right time to relieve herself of her secret and be honest with Pete about the baby. To Pete's astonishment, Peggy says she could have guilt-tripped Pete into being with her if she wanted to, but she wanted instead to focus on her career and move forward.